This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
To pay what to whom to be allowed. For example, to use a knife to peel the potatoes, and how much he is going to charge others for those now peeled potatoes that he bought in an unpeeled condition from another camper, and so on. You could base a camping trip on the principles of market exchange and strictly private ownership of the required facilities. Now, most people would hate that. Most people would be more drawn to the first kind of camping trip than to the second, primarily on grounds of fellowship, but also, be it noted, on grounds of efficiency. I have in mind the inordinate transaction costs that would attend a market-style camping trip. Too much time would be spent bargaining and looking over one's shoulder for more lucrative possibilities. And this means that most people are drawn to the socialist ideal, at least in certain restricted settings. To reinforce this point, here are some conjectures about how most people would react in various imaginable camping scenarios. A. Harry loves fishing, and Harry is very good at fishing. Consequently, he catches and provides more fish than others do. Harry says, "It's unfair how we're running things. I should have better fish when we dine. I should have only perch, not the mix of perch and catfish that we've all been having." But his fellow campers say, "Oh, for heaven's sake, Harry, don't be such a schmuck. You sweat and strain no more than the rest of us do. So you're very good at fishing. We don't begrudge you that special endowment, which is quite properly a source of satisfaction to you. But why should we reward your good fortune?" B. Following a 3-hour time-off for personal exploration period, an excited Sylvia returns to the campsite and announces, "I've stumbled upon a huge apple tree, full of perfect apples." "Great," others exclaim. "Now we can all have applesauce and apple pie and apple strudel." "Provided, of course," so Sylvia rejoins, "that you reduce my labor burden, and or furnish me with more room in the tent, and or with more bacon at breakfast." Her claim to a kind of ownership of the tree revolts the others. C. The trippers are walking along a bridle path on which they discover a cache of nuts that some squirrel has abandoned. Only Leslie, who has been endowed from birth with many knacks and talents, knows how to crack them, but she wants to charge for sharing that information. The campers see no important difference between her demand and Sylvia's. D. Morgan recognizes the campsite. "Hey, this is where my father camped 30 years ago. This is where he dug a special little pond on the other side of that hill and stocked it with specially good fish. Dad knew I might come camping here one day, and he did all that so that I could eat better when I'm here. Great! Now I can have better food than you guys have." The rest frown or smile at Morgan's greed. Of course, not everybody likes camping trips. I do not myself enjoy them much, because I'm not outdoorsy, or at any rate, I'm not outdoorsy overnight without a mattress-wise. There's a limit to the outdoorsiness to which some academics can be expected to submit. I'd rather have my socialism in the warmth of All Souls College than in the wet of the Catskills, and I love modern plumbing. But the question I'm asking is not, wouldn't you like to go on a camping trip, but isn't this the socialist way, with collective property and planned mutual giving, rather obviously the best way to run a camping trip, whether or not you actually like camping? The circumstances of the camping trip are multiply special. Many features distinguish it from the circumstances of life in a modern society. One may therefore not infer, from the fact that camping trips of the sort that I have described are feasible and desirable, that society-wide socialism is equally feasible and equally desirable. There are too many major differences between the contexts for that inference to carry any conviction. What we urgently need to know is precisely what are the differences that matter, and how can socialists address them. Because of its contrasts with life in the large, the camping trip model serves well as a reference point for purported demonstrations that socialism across society is not feasible and or desirable, since it seems eminently feasible and desirable on the trip.